Welcome back to another episode of On the Ball's Talking Points, the show where we discuss noteworthy things that happen in English football. And football's back. The Premier League has returned. Project Restart is a go, and there's so much that's happened in the past 2 or so days of football, particularly English football. And so I've got Konrad here once again to have this discussion with me. Thanks for being here, Konrad.
Thanks, Gabriel, for having me again.
Yeah, no, I think that it's going to be quite a fun chat this time around. There's so much that happened. I know you are just as excited as I was about the Premier League returning. If anything, you were even more excited about fantasy returning, even more than the Premier League. So there's so much to discuss. And the very first thing that I want to get us going with is the first game that happened on the return of the Premier League. That's Sheffield against Aston Villa. And we all know where this specific topic is leading. The goal that was disallowed. What was that? It makes no sense to me. What happened there?
Yeah, Gabriel, you know what? Goal line technology came in way before VAR, and that was due to the fact of your international football, the times of when England scored a goal but it was disallowed and whatnot. And here we're sitting in a situation. Look, you know, if VAR gets it wrong, look, we're in the first season with VAR. So, you know, there's a lot of controversy about it. You know, is this, is that, and whatnot. But for a goal line technology to be disallowed or not looked at before even going into VAR, you know, you think it's lasers or I don't know what kind of technology. I mean, if you look at replays of not this particular game but other games where they show you goal line technology and where they give you a top view, and you know they take away all the players and where the ball was positioned, and then they give a reasoning why it's a goal and why it's not a goal, you know. And this is not a VAR fault. This is what happened. That the fact that the referee, because you could clearly see that the referee. Okay, in my perspective, when I was watching the game and I saw that goal, I thought the goalkeeper was fouled into the goal, and I thought that's what the referee saw. And you know, when they showed playbacks, it was his own player pushed him in, into the goals, you know. But then when you looked at when that happened, or disallowed goal, whatever the case may be, they did a quick shot to the referee, and the referee looked at his watch and he said, "No, carry on play." You know, and that's what troubles me. It's not the VAR, because now VAR has got a lot of T's and C's and whatnot that. You know, once some situation happens and you restart the game, you can't go back onto VAR. You know, once a situation happens, but they're still continuing playing, and until the ball goes out, then they can stop the game and go back to a VAR decision. But once they restart play, you cannot go back to a VAR decision.
But you see, Konrad,
that's where all eyes went onto the referee. We looked at his watch and he said it's a no goal, and they continued, and that's why VAR didn't get involved in it.
But you see, Konrad, this is where my problem lies in. Now, the operators of goal line technology, they're called Hawkeye, and they came out and they apologized for the fact that the ball wasn't shown as being over the line. And the explanation was the way the technology works. There's 7 cameras in or around the goal, and these 7 cameras, from all those angles, they depict, or they picture where the ball is, and from that you can tell if the ball is over the line or not. Now, what they're explaining is that the positioning of the defender, the goalkeeper, and the goalpost impeded the cameras from being able to see whether the ball was over the line or not. So that's their technology speaking. But the thing is, Konrad, video assistant referee, it's there, and it's supposed to be there for clear and obvious errors, right? Clear and obvious errors. And if there was no goal line technology, you would count on the linesman being on that far side of the goal to see that the ball is inside of the net. Everybody could clearly see that the ball was inside of the net. When all of the Sheffield United players ran to the referee, right? he should have at least said, okay, you know what, I'm going to pause this for a moment and I'm going to consult VAR, because this is what they're here for. They're here to make sure that we don't make any clear and obvious errors. I can't see from my side of the field. I'm not blaming Michael Oliver. It's not his fault. He couldn't see from where he was. But that's the reason why we have assistant refs. But these guys just did not do their job. Obviously, technology does fail every now and again. You know, one of my friends on our fantasy group, he said he said that the batteries on the watch was finished.
Listen,
but
they're not playing in South Africa where there was load shedding. They couldn't charge the batteries.
But we all know that there's a proper explanation for this, and as Hawkeye explained, the cameras were impeded by all of those obstructions. But for VAR not even to go back and look at it, that's a disgrace. I mean, this was such an important game for both teams, right? Because of the positions that they're at in the table. We've got Aston Villa who's fighting against relegation. If they won, they would have been outside relegation. We have Sheffield United, who wants to make Champions League, which is now that 5th place because of Man City's ban. And if they won, they would have leapfrogged Man United to be in the Champions League spot. And don't get me wrong, like, I'm happy that Sheffield United didn't win. I'm a Man United fan. I want us to make it into the Champions League. But it's a disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace.
Look, Gabriel, disgrace or not, if you look at the situation in a whole, from an outside perspective, take away the fact that, that this is the Premier League and this is, like you said, with the situation with Aston Villa and Sheffield United, relegation zones and whatnot. This is just a huge mistake from technology-wise. I think that if the way that the referees, because then you would have to look at how the referees taught. What are they told about the rules? When to look at VAR, when not to look at VAR. So we say, okay, cool, there's VAR technology. Why not looking at VAR technology? But then we have to take a step aside and say, okay, cool, this wouldn't be normally a VAR situation. This is a goal line technology. Now, if your goal line technology, which hasn't failed up until now, not that I know of, there's been situations where disallowed goals or goals, but they always looked back on, and it was always a systematic, and there was always a reviewed or explained why it is a goal, why it isn't a goal, and showed from different angles. And I think when you look at that situation, when you look at him looking at his watch and seeing that it is not a goal, he went with that instinct. So because remember, it's his decision to say, okay, VAR or whatever the case may be, but the first line of defense is goal line technology, which has been in place for a couple of years now, and it hasn't failed. And the ball, to him, he looks at it and says he didn't see it as a goal. He looks at his watch, it says it's not a goal, so he says let's continue to play. So obviously in the future they have to relook at and saying, okay, cool. What happens when technology does fail? How can we improve this? How can we improve that? In the end of the day, he looked at his watch. He saw that it's not a goal, which is a technical failure, and that's why VAR didn't come into place, because he didn't go and put in place to say, okay, let's review, let's double check this.
But with VAR, now that you mentioned that as well, with VAR, they speak to the referee in his ear, right? If he waves off a penalty, for example, and they continue play, then eventually the ball goes out, then they'll speak to his ear. They'll say, listen, there's something that we saw that I think we need to review. And then if we feel like you need to check it out as well to make the final decision, you'll head over to the screen. I don't think it's implemented in the Premier League, but this is generally how VAR works. And then he'll head over to the screen, check for himself and say, did I make a mistake? All right, I did. The penalty will be called. That's what they do. Yeah. So again, it's just I think it's just one of those situations that's baffling to me. It's just baffling
it is, especially
that
this
whole situation happened. Yeah.
Absolutely. I completely agree with you. look, VAR still needs a lot of T's and C's and touch-ups and rules and regulations, and they have to go back on the mistakes made and then, grow on top of that. Like I said earlier with, I'm not too sure if that rule is still implemented, but, once the game restarts, you can't go back onto VAR.
Yeah.
So that's why a lot of the times you'll see a ref stop and say, wait, let's first, so a goalkeeper, he'll say, just wait. Let's first check this out. Let's see what's going on.
Yeah.
But other times where spectators will see a situation happens, the ball's still playing. 3 minutes later, the ball goes out, and then they say, okay, no, it was a penalty 3 minutes ago, and we say, okay, cool. But why did VAR get involved now when it's 3 minutes later, and why in a situation where immediately after something happens it wasn't review? And that is sometimes because of the rules with that once you restart play, you can't go back onto VAR.
Yeah. Now we're gonna jump over to the next game, the next topic of discussion, and also a game where just so much happened. We're back. Everybody's back on the same amount of games played. So everyone's played 29 matches. We've got 9 games left. And we had Man City against Arsenal. My first instinct is to laugh is because of David Luiz. But we'll get to that. Just before that, there was a terrible, terrible injury that happened towards the end with Eric Garcia. Shame. We don't actually know what exactly happened. But I did read earlier on today that he is out of hospital. So that's some good news. That's some very good news, because he was down for a long time, just about 10 or so minutes he was down. So it was quite a scary moment.
6 minutes, and he's a youngster as well, and he hasn't had much game time since January.
So it was quite a scary moment, but it's good to know that he's out of hospital and he's doing good. So that's the first bit of good news. Now I'm gonna jump straight into a David Luiz. A calamity on the field for somebody who's so experienced. What goes on through his mind to make some of the decisions that he makes? This is the 4th penalty that he's given away since he's been at Arsenal, as far as I know, as far as I understand, if I remember correctly. 4th penalty.
Gave away their penalty when they played against Chelsea. His first game against Chelsea. Exactly.
And he's supposed to be so experienced. He's what now, 32, 33 years old. I had a chat with Vince a couple of weeks ago when he was talking about their block deep lying midfielders, and then we had a chat about David Luiz. Should he stay, should he go? And he was kind of talking him up like he's an important presence in that team. He's a leader, he's experienced. But how can somebody so experienced or a leader play the way he plays? That goal that Raheem Sterling scored, that was all Luiz's fault. That ball should have been his. What goes on through the mind of a professional like David Luiz? It's, oh my goodness.
I feel for David Luiz, because he's off the pitch he's quite the character. He's a good heart, and he's a good person, and on the pitch they say he's got experience, he's got this. But when you look at Arsenal as a whole, and yes, in this situation he was a guilty party, and he's got a track record of making mistakes, and that hasn't helped him with the cause. And I doubted that Arsenal's gonna let him play any further games, and he's just gonna get sold off. And unless one of the top Italian teams or the second, third place Italian or Spanish team takes him, then that's his career done. From going from one club to another. But you look, a lot of pressure on the whole defense system. It's in Arsenal, they've been having struggles, they've been having problems. And he gets put into a position of a leadership role, and there's a lot of pressure that comes his way, and one or two mistakes. I reckon it's also got to do something that might happen behind the scenes. that puts added pressure when it comes to games. You know, when you've got a coach and you make a mistake and that costed you the game, and you don't have someone that can lead you and guide you and tell you that it's okay and we can recover from this, you know, then, you know, it's you look at this is the same situation as Lingard, you know. Lingard had the potential, and to me, Ole didn't give him. I know you're not a fan of Lingard, but
he sucks.
But the thing is, he was in the English side. He has scored in situations where United needed a goal to win when they needed to win. So he's not. Gabriel, you got that wrong. He doesn't suck.
You get players who
not
have
a top
moments.
He's not a. He's moments.
You get top moments, but in terms of he's a championship player. That's what he is.
He's a champion. Okay.
He's a championship player.
Fair enough. So, even so, you can see when Lingard goes on the pitch, he doesn't have that confidence. He's also another character who's very charismatic. And when he goes onto a pitch, you can see that the nerves are there. And I think that's where David Luiz is at the moment. You know, mistake one, mistake two. Instead of being built on, he gets tramped on. And you know, I'm sure that social media has also an impact on him.
Oh, definitely.
You know, and then having that pressure to go in a game, and that's why he wasn't in the starting lineup. He was being put as a substitute. So yeah, I don't see him recovering from this. I really don't.
Look, if he plays another game for Arsenal, I'll be surprised. First of all, he's got the 3-match ban, so he's gonna miss the next few matches. Secondly, well, you know what? They are missing a few plays. They also got a couple of injuries during that game, so he is going to be forced to play. Just for regards to fitness and getting the rotation down, etc. But if I was a coach, I'd say that's it for me. I've seen. I
don't think you'll see him. I don't think you'll see him back on the pitch for Arsenal.
I'll be surprised if he's back.
He was already on the sideline. With a match ban that's coming up now. I don't see him coming back into the squad.
And you know, you're talking about the mental game, and I feel like the mental thing is important. Football, people get this wrong, or people don't actually realize how much your mentality is important in football. A lot of people, as a coach yourself, as somebody who's played, you'll know that football, you play with your head, right? And your body is your tool. So you need to think, or you need to be able to think to play football, right? So if you can't think properly because you're in a bad mental state, it really is going to affect you. That's 100%. I 100% agree with you. But it's almost like it would be unfair to blame that with David Luiz, because he does this so often. He makes these kind of mistakes so often. He did it at Chelsea. He did it at PSG. Now he's doing it at Arsenal. And at Arsenal, I don't think I've ever seen a player make as many mistakes as what this guy is, which is detrimental to the team. Because that first mistake he made was Sterling's goal. The second mistake, he gives away a penalty. And he gets a red card in the process. No, look, I think he's become my favorite Arsenal player. But in terms of, if I were an Arsenal fan, I'd be so frustrated. I don't know what I'd do with myself. Like, how do you feel about something like that? But you know what? That sort of seals Arsenal's fate as well. They're not going to make it into Europe this season, and Arteta's just going to have to rebuild from next season. Hopefully he's able to get some of the players that he wants, so that he can really show the kind of manager he is. Because I think that he will be a very good manager. But with the likes of David Luiz there, he's not going to get what he wants.
No, he's going to look. He has to do like an overhaul of his midfield, his defense, and also hope that he doesn't lose Aubameyang and a few other key role players, which has sparked a lot of rumors. So he's got quite a hectic time ahead of him. And
big job, yeah.
And provided that he gets the support from the club, that will determine what's the future hold for Arsenal.
And I mean, Arsenal's goal difference is 1. Oh goodness, what comedy, like it's just a comedy right now with them. Painful for their fans, painful for Arsenal Fan TV, but it's gold for me. So it is what it is. I am liking that, and the less competition we have to make Champions League, the better.
Such a United supporter.
Look, it's delightful seeing this.
For when there's Premier League on the weekend, there's 2 things you look forward to: is the Man United game and Arsenal TV.
Yes. It brings me so much joy to see Arsenal in the state that they're in, because I detest that club so much, and the fans just make it even more unbearable for me to deal with them. So seeing this is wonderful.
I don't know why you still feel that. For me, it's like Arsenal has gone on such a spiral dive. For many years now.
That's the thing. But their fans still talk.
They don't matter anymore. You've got.
It's just
we've got other pressing issues. Yeah. We gotta make sure that we go above Chelsea, and then we still got Liverpool fans. Arsenal fans, it's like when a dog that barks, let him bark, just throw it a bone, and it'll go chase a bone, and then it's fine.
But like you said, we do have more pressing things to talk about and to worry about. So one of those things is Man United. Our game's on Friday against Spurs. Do you think that Pogba's going to start that game? Pogba and Rashford. I actually think Rashford's going to start. I don't know about Pogba. Do you think he is going to start, or do you think he should start?
Gabriel, if it was any other manager, I'd say, Pogba's going to start. With Ole in as a manager, I was so looking forward for the Premier League. I was so looking forward to seeing the full squad of Man United back in full force. And sorry, I'm veering a little bit off topic here, but then I came to a realization, we're playing against Tottenham, which is all right. Okay, they've also got a full squad, which then made me think. But then they've also got Mourinho, and I don't know. I want to see Pogba has to start for me. There's rumors of Ole saying no. He was recovering from injury. Listen, buddy, we've been in a lockdown for longer than we've got a break in a normal season. So what rest does he need? What does he need more for? This is a World Cup winner. So if he's recovered from his injury,
then he's going to be ready. Exactly.
So when is he going to be ready in your eyes? If he's been recovered, then he's fit, then why mustn't he start? He's a starting lineup player. He's a World Cup winner. He's a leader. So if Ole doesn't start him, then it's like we said, that Ole is not the right person for United.
Look, I think what's niggling in the back of his mind is Pogba did return for injury for a little while. I think it was 2 games. First game he came on substitute 25 minutes, and then we lost that game. If I'm not mistaken, it was against Crystal Palace, if I'm not mistaken. But we lost that game, I think it was 2-1, somewhere there. And then after that, there was the next game. Was it? We won 4-1. That was against Newcastle, I'm sure. Oh no, we lost against Watford, I think. That's the game where he came on, and then we lost against Watford. And then the next game was against Newcastle. We beat them 4-1. He featured in the second half. But right after that, he was injured for an extended period of time again. So I think that's probably one of the things that's in the back of his mind. And he's probably thinking to himself, even though everyone was on break for 3 months, he hasn't played for even longer because of his injury. I mean, Pogba's only featured in 7 matches this season. He's missed 22 games through injury. So I'm not sure how he feels about it. But in my personal opinion, I think he should start.
No, he's a starting player. It doesn't matter if he's missed games or if he hasn't missed games. you're playing against Tottenham, so you're not playing against a hard English team. You're playing against a very tactical, very fast-paced team. You need experience on the field, and he'll bring that experience onto the field. So if he'll be in the lineup and being put in the second half, that is a huge mistake.
Huge mistake. And him and Bruno together will be, I think it's what we hope for. A lot of people keep asking, will they be able to play together? Still now, we've had this discussion, we've spoken about it, but when you've got two players of that kind of intelligence, it's difficult to see them not being able to play together. It's very, very difficult. So that's something I'm looking forward to, but I think they should start. I think Rashford should start as well. If anything, his mentality, he must be on a high right now. The great work that he's doing for kids in England and for people who are living in extreme poverty, it's incredible. And it must make him feel so good. Once he goes out on the pitch, he's gonna have like the clearest mind, and he'll just be able to focus on his game, because like he's being seen as a hero right now, and rightfully so for what he's done. So definitely somebody I think should start as well.
Besides that, I don't think much of that will come into play when he's on the field. Rashford he is a fighter, and he's a born-bred United fighter. So he goes onto pitch focused, and he's there to make the run and to score a goal. And that's what he is. And missing so much as a youngster as a youngster as he is, he's hungry. He's hungry. So you want hunger. You want someone like that onto the field that wants to get back and wants that feeling of being on the pitch and scoring a goal.
Exactly. So that's a game I'm very much looking forward to. I can't wait to see that.
I'm not looking forward to it at all.
Look, I'm ready. I'm ready to see us back in action, and I just want to see what our full squad can do right now before we go into the summer and back to the rumors and stuff. There hasn't really been the rumor mill going on, so I just want to see what Man United can do.
I'm so worried for this game, Gabriel. It comes down to, it's going to be either Man United squad winning or Mourinho tactics win.
That's true.
So it's not a thing of Ole doesn't have any tactics. So if we win, it's because of the players that just managed to stop Mourinho's tactics and outplay Tottenham. And best believe, and we saw it in the articles leading up, during the lockdown period, is that Mourinho is determined, and he's not called a special one for no reason. He said he wants to make Champions League football, bring Tottenham back into top four. And best believe this guy was sitting and planning every single setup. And the Tottenham players are going to be more fit and more ready and more mentally ready than they have ever been before. And he's almost got a full squad besides the one suspension that he's got. And they're going to go onto the field with every player knowing what tactic they must do and what is their role in that game. Whilst Man United are going to go in with just of the caliber of players that they've got, and push for a win.
The only worry I have, to be honest, is Harry Kane. I still believe fit and no injuries, and he's, along with Lewandowski, is the best number 9 in the world. It's the best number 9 striker position in the world. That's my only worry. Personally, I think Mourinho's finished. His time is up. He was great, but he's outdated. And
I disagree.
His tactics, and we saw it with Man United.
I'll tell you, no.
We have also been seeing it with Tottenham. I mean, he's 8th at the moment with these guys. They're 8th, and they just can't get anywhere in terms of play.
At what position did he take over the team?
Oh, that
They were
I
mid
wouldn't be
to,
able to
they were
tell you.
mid they were mid to bottom table. Remember, Gabriel, why you say you're outdated is because we just don't like his style of play.
No, but that's not
And
the
when
thing.
when he was with United, and when he came in that season, I think it was 2017 2018, he came second in that. That was the time when Man City got that 100 things. That was, yes, and he said that was his best ever achievement for
Yes.
Man United can ever get. And true as Bob, we've not come ever close to that.
And
Now,
that's
we did not enjoy. Listen, hear me out. We did not enjoy the style of play that he played, but he took the team to a certain position. Now, if you take it a season or two back, when he was with Chelsea, and everyone mocked him for the fact that he parked the bus. But did he get the results? He got the results. And that is the thing about Mourinho, is he doesn't care what you feel or what you want in terms of style, or he's not there for the fans.
I can
and
tell
he's shown it and he's proved it.
I can
but
confidently
he will get
say,
you the results.
I can confidently say that from this moment forth, Mourinho will not win another title. I can confidently say that because his style of play, not just about the way the players play or not just about what he does with the team, etc. He's got a structure, he's got tactics, yes, but the game evolves. The game is evolving, and that's what Jurgen was showing. The game is going to evolve further so that it's not just Man City or Liverpool who are the best teams in England, because let's make no mistake, these are the best teams in England. For as much as everybody's saying, no, you know what, Man City, they're not as good as they can be, these guys still won the League Cup. They're still in the Champions League. They're in a good position because they beat Man City. They beat Real Madrid. And the next round, who knows what's going to happen there. And they're still in it for the FA Cup. So for as much as everybody says Man City is not as good, they've struggled a little bit. Pep has gone wrong. He overthinks things sometimes. But Mourinho he's outdated. He's like some of the other managers who have retired before him. They just couldn't do it anymore. Arsene Wenger, he stopped at the right time because he just could not keep up anymore. You know, that's what's happening with Mourinho. It's happening a bit earlier than people would have expected, but he's not winning another title.
I'll disagree with two things that you've pointed out there. Is that two coaches that have evolved was Jurgen Klopp and Pep. Pep has not evolved. He's just got a certain style and a certain tactic about him that he likes to play, and he's used that along the way with the clubs, and he's got the players to play in that style.
But it's not Pep that's evolved, it's the game that's evolved.
So his style of play and what he wants from the players, and he's got the players that can execute the style of play. But it's been the same consistent style of play. That's why Man City is still a formidable team, because they've got the players, but they're not as dominant as they were. Jurgen Klopp, yes, he has involved with the game, because he went from a German Bundesliga, playing for one of the top teams, to coming to Liverpool and dragging them and refreshing with the squad that he's got to win the Champions League, and now on the way to win their Premier League title. He's definitely evolved. And for me, Mourinho, as much as we think that he's outdated and whatnot, watch him. He's got the right players, and I'm worried. I'm really worried for tomorrow's game, and I won't lie. And I guess we're gonna have to just wait and see what happens. And don't be surprised if we lose a game, and if you do analysis after the game. If we lose a game, do analysis after the game. And watch how the players would have reacted to, let's say, our wing backs. He knows what our style of play hasn't changed. He knows already what's expected, what more or less the lineup's going to be and whatnot. He's going to allow the wing backs to. This is my theory, as you know, coming from a coaching perspective. what he might think. He's obviously on a different caliber, but he'll be like, you know what? Let the wing backs play. Let's put pressure on those wing backs. Let's get them tired. When Bruno's got the ball, don't press him. Let him be. But cut off the angles. So when he tries to do a pass, then you stop the passes. When Paul Pogba's got the ball, don't give him the space, but rather take him on, because he's going to take one player on. Going to take two players on. The third player he's going to mess up. What's going to frustrate the team more? Not Bruno being tackled, but Bruno not getting the through balls through. Paul Pogba being losing the ball. Our wing backs getting tired. So yeah, look, it's going to be quite an interesting game tomorrow, and I won't be surprised if Tottenham win. And if Tottenham win, best believe it's not the players, it's Mourinho.
Okay, you know what? That's going to have to be a discussion for another day, i.e. after the match. Then we'll be able to do a proper analysis. I've got an idea already, having analyzed how Mourinho manages and coaches. I have an idea of what he wants to do, what he has been doing over his entire career. But like I said, that's a discussion for another day. We're going to go into the very last thing. Just very quickly, Champions League, Europa League, it is coming back. They already do have a structure for it. So quite looking forward to that happening again. At least we can get things going. It's going to be kind of difficult because it's happening through August. And I do believe the next season's going to start in around the September time. So these guys aren't going to have a holiday at all. And a lot of people say, no, you know what, they didn't play for 3 months. But those 3 months they were still working because they didn't know when they were going to play again. So they have to keep fit in case they say, oh, in 2 weeks from now we're going to play. You know, that's the mentality they had to have. So it's going to be quite difficult. It's going to be quite a squeeze. I think the players are going to be very, very exhausted. But
hey, my man, if you get paid, you work. You work.
So there's that.
There's no holidays. Bro, you're getting paid millions. You better stay fit and you better be ready for the next game.
So we're looking forward to that. And then perhaps the final thing, Chelsea. Frank Lampard looks like he's busy building a good young squad. Timo Werner was officially announced. It's still a big shock to me because he was heavily linked to Liverpool. He was linked to Man United at a certain point. But of course, everyone's linked to Man United at one stage of their career. But a good signing. I think it's a good signing. What do you think?
Right, yeah, I'm loving what Chelsea's doing. I think we spoke about it, doing an overhaul of the team and, going back to the roots and seeing what is the philosophy of the club and then building on top of that, whether you're going to go with building according to the coaches and to the strength of a team, or you're going to just go on the philosophy of the club and get the right players for that philosophy. And we saw it in the beginning of the season with Chelsea bringing in those youngsters, Tammy Abraham and a whole bunch of other players, and it's brilliant to see this team grow. I hate saying it, but when we talk about analyzing football, when we talk about football in general, you have to look at it at an outside perspective. Objectively, that's the right word that I was looking for. And you have to appreciate what's being done when it's being done right. And Chelsea are getting it right with the right players. Whether or not Lampard is the right coach to take them forward, which is yet to be seen. But definitely the right overhaul for Chelsea, and that's something that they need, and it's something that they have to be patient with, because it's not the results that they're going to get in a season or two. It might only be in 3 seasons when these guys get a little bit more experience, and provide, if Lampard is the right coach, then in the 3rd season get 1 or 2 experienced players and experienced players along with the leaders, and then use that all together and take them forward for a title.
The thing about intelligent players, or players who were highly intelligent back in the day, transfiguring or transferring into the coaching role, is that they're able to see things from the coaching perspective, having been a player that other people can't see it. right? So perhaps there's one thing that I'd say, or that I'd criticize Lampard for at the moment, is the team's defensive discipline. I do still think that they need much better centre-backs than they do have. For some reason, he doesn't like Marcos Alonso. I think he's good. There's Cesar Azpilicueta, who's really solid at right back. But in terms of defensive discipline, they could be better. But in terms of him being a coach, right, being able to lay off his message to his players. He was a very disciplined player, and he's somebody with high intelligence. So having that sort of mentality that he has, I think he can translate that into his coaching. If he sees somebody like Mason Mount, who's playing in the position that Lampard was playing, doing something wrong, then it'll be easier for him to lay off the message and say, listen, this is what you're doing wrong, this is why you're doing it wrong, and this is how you can be better, right? And that's not just from experience, that's also from his intelligence of the game. So because he's so intelligent, he'll also be able to adapt and evolve. I think that Lampard is going to be a very dangerous manager within the next 2 or 3 seasons, and Chelsea is going to be very difficult to deal with.
Look, you must. Before I was just going to cut you short on that. Is not every intelligent player and what was the word you were saying there?
Definitely, not all of them. Not all of them.
Not all of them can be coaches, because a role of a coach is completely different than being a player. And you could have a brilliant mind, brilliant tactics, but a coach has to be all around. It's got to be tactics. It's got to be that leadership. It's got to be that foundation. It's got to be that motivation. It's got to be that upliftment of spirit, or breaking players down and building them back up. So he might have that experience, which you'll find that he might be better as an assistant coach, or maybe for a smaller team, rather than a bigger team like Chelsea. So it's yet to be seen and it's yet to be proven, but up to now, they've got the right direction. Him, along with the club, with the overhaul and the players that they got in the season, they're definitely in the right direction. But whether he's the right coach is yet to be seen. And I'm not going to go based on his past and that he's an intelligent player and whatnot. For me, I want to see those difficult times where they are down under and they come back second half and they win a game. So
but bear in mind that, well, first of all, what he did at Derby I thought was fantastic. Derby were not in contention for even getting promoted into the Premier League until he took over. Once he did one season, they were in contention. Chelsea said, you know what, let's give this guy a chance. The second thing, which I think worked in his favor, which is something that's even more impressive with Lampard, is the fact that he took over a Chelsea team that had just lost Hazard and that weren't allowed to make any signings. So I think he did, considering that, and the fact that he's still in 4th place, I even think that they're going to finish above Leicester City. I think they're going to make the Champions League. I think that that's quite a big achievement for him to make in his first season.
Take nothing away from that. That's definitely, when you put it that way, with the fact that he couldn't do any signings and he had a very young squad and whatnot.
Look, I think it worked in his favor quite a bit.
But is it
the
a
pressure was a
winning
bit
title?
gone.
But is it a consistent team, or is it a winning title coach?
Look, that's why I said
that's what's yet to be proved, because he can in and out every season be in the top 3 and top 4, and we can say he's a good coach. But this is where it gets separated. Will he be that coach that will bring Chelsea a title?
But I suppose you could say the same thing about Pochettino. Pochettino is actually considered one of the best coaches in the world, but the closest he's come with Tottenham is finishing in 3rd place. Even the one season when Leicester City when they won the Premier League, Tottenham were there chasing against them and they still finished 3rd. Arsenal finished 2nd above them. Pochettino may have made the Champions League final, yes, but at the end of the day, Tottenham still got no trophies.
And the following season, they were in the mid to bottom half of the table.
So again, I suppose it is going to take some time. We don't really know, but from what I can see, from what I can tell, Lampard's going to be a fantastic manager.
I'm looking forward to see that. As long as United is above Chelsea, then
No, it's not United.
He can be the world. He can be the world best coach. It's fun.
Just so long as United's above everyone. But Konrad, I think we're going to wrap it up there. It's been quite a productive chat. We went through quite a few things that happened. A good first couple of games for the return of the Premier League. Lots of things happened. Lots of controversy, but just so much talking points as well. And this is what we wanted. This is what we missed.
This is where lockdown made it so much more difficult that there was no football.
Yeah.
Now it's fine.
Yeah. Now we can keep going. Things are back to normal.
Well, normal for us. if you've got a girlfriend or a significant other, yeah, they had all the time during the lockdown. Now they're gonna feel abandoned.
Well, what we're going to do as well, Konrad's gonna join us sometime next week, where we're just going to break down what's been happening with regards to our fantasy teams, some of the research we've done, maybe some plans that we have for the next teams before the game week. It's going to have to be real quick as well, real quickly uploaded, because I do believe Man City play the last game for Fantasy's double game week 30 plus, and then on Tuesday game week 31 plus begins. So we're going to have to work quick, think quick, work quick, and make some decisions that has to last us for a few games, because Premier League is going to be moving very quickly from now.
That's exactly it. So just stay tuned, and it's going to be a lot of fun and exciting, especially discussing the fantasy and just giving you options and outside opinions that we might not take, but opinions definitely to consider and to look at.
Definitely. Konrad, I want to thank you again for joining. As always, it's been a good time having this chat, and let's hope Man United pull through tomorrow.
Well, I'm hoping for a United victory, and I'm hoping to see a well-structured and well-gelled United team that will take us into a Champions League.
That's the hope and that's the plan. And for you who's been watching this video, thanks so much for tuning in. Be sure to like this video if you did, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and click the bell notification icon so you know when the next video is released. If you think that this is a video that you, your friends and family can all watch together, or something that you know that a friend of yours, a football fan, will enjoy, be sure to share it with them as well. Let's hope they're not disappointed. Once again, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll talk to you again soon. Adios.
Cheers.